The Honourable Minister, welcome to Rakiraki, sir. And we have already listened to your suggestions. There are a few areas that I need to focus on. First is our interest rates in the bank. I suppose just a few weeks ago, the Honourable Minister for Agriculture was here in Rakiraki on the implementation process of the ginger farming, which $700,000 was being given by the New Zealand government. I asked the FDB that day that the interest rates on the farming, especially on the sugarcane farming, and I think the manager was here from Rakiraki branch. Probably is here today? No? From FDB, Rakiraki, the manager? Okay, sir. And he told us that it's 9%. 9% on the agricultural loans, especially on the cane farming. And commercial banks probably give up to 5%. And the sugarcane support fund gives up to 6% of the interest rates. My request over here is, sir, that it's a Fiji development bank. It is the development of the common people of this nation on the agriculture sector. And I'll come on the commercial sector, sir. This is my request. If the interest rates of the FDB would be reduced, probably compared to the sugarcane support fund to maybe 5 or 6%. This is just a request to you, sir. And also on the commercial loans, the business community go to the banks like Bread Bank or Baroda or BSP or ANZ or Westpac, probably comes up to 5%. And sometimes when you're in the good books, they might come up to 4.5%. As you have explained, just because the foreign reserve for that the area on the commercial banks is too much. Now, compared to 4.5% on commercial banks, and our bank would be the Fiji Development Bank, that is our bank. But their interest rate is about 13.5%. So this is one request to you, sir, that if that also can be reduced so that more business can be given, and also the term deposits would be observed. I think that this year, though, maybe from last year, they started to get the term deposit. That is one of the areas that we are requesting to the government. Say, on the second issue is the agriculture sector, which is very, very important for our country. And I know you supported me very much on that when we opened the pack house here in Rakiraki. Whenever I made a call to you, you always asked for this pack house. But I know you're short of time, otherwise I would have taken you to the pack house and see that what we are doing. I think, for example, as he was explained, if somebody from Natasiri, from Korosule, brings 10 bags of cassava to Suva to sell it, for 1 week, that week he gets about $50 a bag. He's so happy to get $500, buy goods, some in the bank, some for the children's education, and goes back again to Korosule. The next week, he brings another 10 bags, but the price has gone down to $10 a bag. He'll just have $100 in his pocket. In the third week, Honorable Minister, he's not going to bring the cassava back to supermarket. So what I have requested to the Honorable Minister for Agriculture and the CEO, who is a very humble man, that market is very, very important to us. At the moment, we are supplying to New Zealand 3 containers of cassava and dalo. We might go to 4 containers. And this is where in the agriculture sector, everybody gets the business, as you said, that if the price is going to come down, employment will be given. That is what the government's duty is. So my request is to get the market. Tamarind market, as you explained, is 2 billion market in America. And in Canada, it's 2 billion market. We have requested the Ministry for Agriculture to find the market for us. We have got a lot of tamarind here in the province of Ra. So this is one request to you on on the agriculture sector, sir. On the rent of the crown land, probably we had 99 years of lease. That was something very good for our farmers. But what happened, that every 5 years assessment will be done on valuation. On the first year, it was $400. When the next assessment came over, it was $1,200. When the third assessment would come, it might go up to $1,800. If the fourth assessment would come, it might go up to $2,400. But that area produces only 200 tons of cane, which is a net profit of about $4,000. Though the farmer will only get $1,200, but the rent will be $2,400. Eh? So that's one area that I request to the government on the subsidy on our rent, not only to the crown land, but also to the TLTB. We have got $390 million lying down in the sugarcane support fund. This was all mostly the FSC freehold. That's the FSC freehold land. If that can also be, it might be a long process, but that might be, if that money would be given back to the government and make all this crown land, crown schedule C land, a freehold land for the farmers. So that will never pay any rent to the government. That is my request to you, sir. I mean, we know we are going through a hard life, not only Fiji, but the whole world. Honorable Minister, look at me, sir, look at me, sir. Look at me, sir. This is what I'm requesting to you, sir. So this is very, very important. That this is a request that I'm making to the government. The third issue is the mismanagement of fund, as you have said, correctly said, sir. The government budget can go up to $3 billion. But the mismanagement fund is so paining to us here in the province of Rakiraki, and I'm going to give you one good example. They started to build the Gallau Road. What happens here, at the rainy weather, we know that from November to May, it's a rainy weather, not only to the Western Division, but whole of Fiji. They started to bring up the soil. Honorable Minister, they bring up the soil, and they took over all those, about 8 kilometers. And what happened? The flooding came over. The flooding came over, sir, and they washed all the soil that was dumped on the road. My question is, the mismanagement of government funds is our taxpayers' money. What they would have done, the engineers were hired from Sri Lanka with a healthy salary. But what happened? All washed out. Millions of dollars of tax money gone. They would have, no matter it's a rainy weather, they would have gone to a half kilometer, completed the half kilometer with the gravel, with the chips, and went to another half kilometer. But this is a mismanagement of fund of the Gallau. And the people suffered, sir. The people really suffered. The vehicles will be bogged on that soil. So this is one of the areas. We as taxpayers, we watch every day. That's because I pay good tax to the government, sir. And it is my prime duty that what is the tax is, I'm going to pay. But at the end of the day, is the mismanagement of funds on the roads. And I think Ministry for Education, Ministry for Health, and Ministry for Roads and Energy takes the bunch of the cake of the budget of every year. So this is one request again to you, sir, to listen. It's not that I'm going to blame you, Honorable Minister, or to the Prime Minister, or anybody that matter. But it is a request that we see every day what is happening. That is what we need to bring it over. And it's very hard for you. I know I can make you a call. You answer the call instantly. Whenever you pass my house, you give me a call. I mean, this is how, it's not a matter of opposition, it's not a matter of government. It is the matter of the people of the nation, and democracy comes for the people, of the people, and by the people. So that is what we follow, sir. Now, No, sir. That's what I said to you. You look at me every time, sir. You look at me every time, sir. Don't be afraid of, you my Tobu. You from Nandroga, I'm from Ra. Yeah? So, every time you look at me when you talk, sir. Yeah? And the fourth is our sugar industry. Sir, the government came over very hard. And at this venture, I need to tell you, sir, the the permanent secretary for sugar is a very humble man. He's a very humble man, Yogesh Karan, he does his job. But my request over here, sir, the sugar industry, the government pulled in millions of dollars in there. In 1999, our tonnage was 4 million tons of cane. But government did its share. I'm not going to criticize anybody in here, sir, but it's a point. Now we have got only 1.4 million tons of cane in this country. Why? Our sugar mill is closed here. We should have one sugar mill over here. But it is both ways, for us to plant cane and for the government to build up the mill here. So this is one of the requests that I'm making, and also at this juncture I need to thank the CEO of the FCCC for his great and marvelous job that he did done on the transportation and all those things, and the diesel rebates been given to us. So this is some of the requests that I'm making to you in this budget. I'm not here to criticize anybody. I'm not here to say negative about anything. But what is actually is killing our lives day to day, that is the issue that I'm going to bring it to you, Honorable Minister. And also the grants, the grant that was being given to the machines. If you form a cooperative, then you get a 90,000 grant. If you see the private sectors that brought up the machines, and I declare my interest over here, sir. I brought up 2 machines, the 3rd one is coming over. And if you see the figures in Rakiraki, we are the highest ones that starters that came from here to Bamil. So the grants would not only be given to the cooperative, to the individuals who can bring up and support the sugar industry in the country. And that is why I said I declare my interest, sir. But I'm not crazy to get that $90,000. You know, say how hard a man I am at the grassroots level. But this is just a request to everybody. When it's a democratic country, it must be for everybody, sir. Thank you, sir. And also, the last would be the interest station, the wages. The wages and salaries. As you have already mentioned on the government, I know it observes the major income of the government. It observes the major income of the government, of the budget. And I also request that the province of Raj should not be forgotten. There are many others who need to talk to you on these issues, sir, that we need. It's the free life. We also want to enjoy that life that is being enjoyed in Suva or in Nandroga, for instance, sir. And for your information, sir, as Tovus, we know that lot of young the kids are being produced in Nandroga mostly when we take a survey throughout the country. So, sir, thank you very, very much indeed for coming to Ra. And if that can be noted and put into your budget this year, but I know we are going through a hard life. I'm not going to pressure you too much, but this is the request that we have made. And I also say, the last would be, if the monitoring process on the Ministry for Works and Energy would be done. The FRA is the body of the government that looks after the roads, the wharfs, and everyone in Fiji. But, you know, the money that has been put into these sections is too much, sir. And the last is the Ministry for Health, which I need to talk, sir. If you visit the Rakiraki Hospital now, from here, instantly go to Rakiraki Hospital and go to the toilets and the bathroom of Rakiraki, then you're going to know what is our Rakiraki Hospital, sir. And, you know, take a few minutes our time, sir, to visit these areas. And you see that, you know, government is putting the funds in there, but, you know, you see the condition of our Rakiraki Hospital, you will come to know about it. And I request you to go and visit in a few minutes there. Thank you very much indeed, sir. Thank you.
No, thank you. You know, like I said, it's not about freedom or democracy and all that stuff that you're talking about. This is about the budget. So let's not get straight away and get carried away with the political angle. Now, let me talk about FDB. FDB, as you know, is a development bank. It's not, we can't say it's our bank, it's a development bank. Most of the loans that FDB does give, as you know, is unsecured loan. You know that. No commercial bank will ever give you a loan without security. You also know that too. Banks, commercial banks don't give you money without security, unless you're going to borrow $1,500 and you're working somewhere. That's a fact. You know that. Let's not mislead people. FDB also gives secured loan and unsecured loan. I was in Lomaivuna about 4 weeks ago, where the ginger farmers can access up to $50,000. Not because they've taken a mortgage on the land, but they have actually got an arrangement with the people who buy the ginger from the farmers. So if, for example, I'm a ginger farmer and I sell $20,000 worth of ginger, the payment will go to FDB first. FDB will take out the deduction, then the farmer gets the money. You know that. That's how FDB works. You also know that FDB is not like commercial banks where they accept deposits. FDB has got a mandate in respect of the focus of the bank. It's a development bank. Its focus should not be on commercial enterprises. What it does is that it lends to commercial enterprises to cross-subsidize. You should know this. So if they lend to a commercial entity at 12 or 13%, they can lend at a cheaper rate to the farmers and lower income people. Many of the loans that FDB funds, government actually subsidizes those interest rates. How does FDB get its money? FDB goes out to the market. FDB does not get a grant from government. FDB gets a guarantee from government to go out to the market, raise money from the market, then they use that money to then on-lend to people. You know this. That's how FDB operates. We have also seen in the past where FDB has been used as a piggy bank for people. In the 90s, people who went and bought Class A shares in FDB, the rich people, they bought Class A shares in Fijian Holdings, they got a loan from FDB, and guess what? The loan was written off subsequently. You know this. We also know that after 87, all the supermarkets, M-Call or whatever it is called, was set up, given to people who could not run businesses, and all that money went under the table. Not on the table, but it finished. That's the history of FDB. Today, as you also know this, FDB is now disbursing loans also digitally. Farmers can also apply on their phones. They can get money disbursed on their phones. 90% of the applications in this concessional loan financing was done digitally. Now, it's okay to stand up here and make a populist statement, but it is highly irresponsible of you to do that when you know that the facts are not correct. Number two, in respect of the crown leases, there has been a review. For many crown leases, for a number of years, the rent was not even reviewed. You know there's a review clause. Everybody knows. But you've just speculated. You said, oh, 5 years' time will be this much, 5 years' time will be this much. How do you know that? Okay, it has gone up. We also announced in the budget that anybody that faces hardship, we will pay their lease in the revised budget for Itauke land and also crown land. We made an announcement. There's a budgetary allocation made for this. Read the book. It's there. It's in here. We've already had people who've applied. If a cane farmer cannot do repayment, you can actually apply and we'll do the repayment for you, for the lease monies. It's there. So please, don't make this populist statement when you know there's a provisioning for it. And also, it does not make sense for any lessor to increase the rent, knowing full well that the lessee cannot, in future years, be able to afford it if the output of that particular land is going to be far less than what is required. And that's the fact. There's an allocation. Please read the budget. That's why I keep on saying, go to the Ministry of Economy website. If you don't want to read the budget papers, for someone like you, it makes a lot of statements, read that. It's available. People have already applied for it. Any farmer, any person facing hardship on Itauke land or state land that's leasing the land can apply. We already had applications for that. Number two. Number three, the other issue raised about agriculture. Now, you see, the point is I was in Kuku in Nosori on Saturday night, and there was somebody who raised this issue about cassava. They said that, when I go to Nosori market now, I don't get the same price because there's too many people growing cassava. So the price I used to get for a bag of cassava, I don't get it anymore. I had a week before that somebody saying to me, I've also got cassava. He said, I want AMA to buy it. So I asked him as a question, I said, what will AMA do with it? He said, I don't care, throw it in the river, but just give me the money. You see, so when we do farming, as you know, it's a supply-demand issue. There is somebody at the moment in Lotoka who we understand is setting up a flour mill for cassava, to make flour out of cassava. So, we're hoping, I understand Ministry of Agriculture is working with them, because then you have a value adding to the cassava. At the moment, cassava is dealt in a very basic manner. There's some cassava chips being made by flour mills of Fiji, but the other cassava we just simply sell by the roadside. People boil it, etc. So we need to do the value adding, and I agree about the value adding. We have to do that. In the same, the turmeric market, I don't know where you got the $2 billion figure from, but obviously there's a growing demand for turmeric. As you know also, a lot of the turmeric that is actually being harvested is in the wild. In Navosa, they've got a lot of wild turmeric. So you have villagers going out on the hillsides, they're digging up the turmeric and they're selling it. We also have to make sure that the pricing is right for the people who go and dig in the hills. If somebody's going to go to that hill and come to you and you buy it off them for $1.10 a kilo, but then you sell it for $3 a kilo, it's not going to be a viable proposition for them. And that was one of the complaints about those people in Navosa. They were saying we spend all day with the family and everybody going out in top of the hills, and the middleman who's buying the turmeric from us is paying us very little money. So we need to do some regulation about it. In the same way that the Honorable Prime Minister announced about the opening of the beach dimmer, right? The beach dimmer, we have to make sure that there are credible people who actually buy it off them and give them the right price. Otherwise, these villagers will be going out, spending all day getting the beach dimmer, and the price they get will be very little. So we want them to get the right price too. Markets, yes, to find markets is not necessarily very easy. Branding obviously is very important. And now, for example, even if you want to go into organic farming, to get actual certification, we don't have anybody in Fiji that actually can certify to meet international standards. So we either have to send people overseas and bring them back, or we get people from overseas to do the certification. In respect of the roads, yes, roads gets about $300 million a year in budget allocation. Last week I was in Tawake, in the Tikina of Tawake in Vanuatu. We've just cut a road to the Tikina of Tawake. The entire eastern seaboard of the Vanuatu, all the way up to Undu Point, there's a number of villages there. They don't even have a road. They don't have a road. And to be honest with you, I was sitting there in Tawake village after this new road that was cut, and I was sitting there in the village and thinking to myself, what were the previous governments doing? Even if they cut 50 to 70 kilometers of new roads, all of these places will be connected. They catch fish up in Undu Point, they got no connection, they have to come by boat, then they have to catch some carrier. By the time they end up in Lambasa, they've already spent $500 or $700, and the fish price goes up, or they go in a loss. Road connectivity is very important. In the same way what you said about wastage is also very important to take cognizance of. But to have a political agenda to say reduce the budget for FRA is very silly, because we need to ensure that people get connected. We have people in Nanronga, in Navosa, in Valley Road, where it was called the salad bowl of Fiji. No, you did say, you said they're getting too much. You said, hey, they're recording it. You said too much. You said too much. You said too much. Anyway, I don't lie. So, Valley Road, all of those places have now, in the west bank of Valley Road is tar sealed. Now, why is it tar sealed? Because when you have tomatoes being produced, and they come on gravel road bumping all the way to Singatoga market or to the hotels, 30% of your fruit gets damaged. The shelf life is less. So we need to take the strategic investments to be able to invest in roading, to improve the quality. Of course, if you said in that particular place that happened, doesn't mean hundreds of millions of dollars or millions of dollars got wasted. You don't know that. It could have been $400,000. You don't know it's millions of dollars. You did not go into the study of it. You don't know. You have not seen the books. You don't even know whether, if they did a bad job, whether they are asked to redo it at their own cost. You don't know that. So you should not make statements that are all encompassing without getting the facts right. You know, I'm saying about that one particular road, you said they lost millions of dollars. But how do you know that? Okay, anyway, I've now moved along the allocation of the budget. I'm talking about that particular road, you said they lost millions of dollars. My point is that you don't know, you have not seen the books. And I said to you that I agree with you, that if there's wasted, we need to address it. And I don't know how long ago that was. When was it? Okay, so that's good. So you raise that, the staff are there, we'll find out. And we'll get back to you. Next time I drive past your house, I'll give you a phone call and give you the information. Okay, so my point is, I mean, those issues about hospitals, I agree that we need to improve. We need to improve the quality of the services, we need to improve the infrastructure. And we'll continue to do that. A lot of the times we are dealing with infrastructure that's very old. You know, as you know, before, a lot of the health centers and the hospitals were built by what we used to be called PWD. PWD used to do that. And even if you go to certain hospitals where there's a sink in a hospital, right? There's a sink or bathroom. The edging on the bench was made out of wood. They did not use their brains. You do not put wood around a place that's going to get wet all the time. Obviously the paint will come off, obviously it start rotting. You need to put stainless steel. So people in those days used to do construction just for that 1 year or 2 years without thinking long term. The steel sink may have cost you a bit more money, but it will last you longer. So that's how we need to do things. That's how we need to do construction. If you look at the new constructions we've done, a completely different space altogether. Next question, please, or comment.
This could be some input, or first I just want to thank and appreciation for presentation today. Thank you so much. I will talk a little bit in regards to subsidy. I appreciate for that. In regards to this inorganic fertilizer, and I like that for $25 for the government to pay, it's give me relief, and all my dear farmers who are here. In the other one, our chemicals and all, I think there should be a subsidy also before, and that can be put, because we are facing in doing cleaning up our farms and all. I just want to elaborate more on these three sectors: the forest, Ministry of Forest, the agriculture, and the sugar industry. For the organic, I heard a little bit from you, if that can be taken in consideration in regarding to organic farming. We can come up with the forestry with the green and branches. This can be done in a large scale, and even the fish waste in Levuka. This is done in Japan, I believe, and we can cut costs even the economy for importing all these organic.
George, let's respect him. He's speaking. They listen to you quietly when you were speaking. Please, let's give them the same respect.
Thank you to our listeners and Minister, Honorable Minister. In these regards, the inorganic fertilizer, which pollute our land, and I'll talk into this point, the land that if we can focus on the land, and our land bills can be explained thoroughly and to all the people, because there's more information coming out to post in all the minds of the people in regards to land bills and all. For me, I was created from that dust, and I have to get that dust for the priority of my life and everyone who owns the land. Even in the lands department or the Tauke land, we have to till the land for the betterment of our economy and the nation as a whole. Even root crops or the cane. I'm a cane farmer, and I'm sorry, I want to talk to you alone because I'm sending you some emails in regards to fair trade. I'm standing tall for the farmers, for the benefit of the new generation, and because we are just nanumanikua matinikua. So I'm doing that for the people. It was raised from Saka in regards to we can not go up to 4 million as before, the tonnage and the quantity of the cane. And I have been doing this from 10 years when I left the government to the people there for dialogue, to till the land. And that is what we should do, to educate the landowners, because some of them, they don't want to give their land because of the tradition from before. And I'm doing that to go to the landowners, to educate them, to give their land for the future generation, new guns, to utilize the land, so we can increase the cane production. It's easy, it's a matter of dialogue. And the Living God program is dialogue. You dialogue, you will get the point. We don't have to point fingers to others and in those kinds of things. We have to work together in regards to that economy. Just the economy, I used to say that it is like a birthday cake, a piece to everyone. So thank you very much for, I've been going around to the villages of Ra, saying the same words you say. We are lining up for that piece of cake. Thank you for that piece of cake. And we are looking forward that you'll be giving that piece of cake again to us. I don't get that cake, but I like the way. That's the piece of cake. It's a birthday cake. It's 3-4 stories. Keep it like that. We enjoy that. So for the people who are here, if you got the land, please till the land. For me, my land, you don't have any 6 inches. I plant it for the betterment of this nation and that economy and that birthday cake. We can work together to build the topping for the birthday cake. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think I also wanted to make a point. I think it relates also to what George had said earlier on. You know, in Fiji, since the colonial times, if you leased Itoke land, or if you leased crown land or government land, state land, for tourism, residential, commercial, industrial, you can get 99-year leases. But for agriculture, it was only 30 years. Only 30 years. That's why you never had commercial banks lending in the agriculture sector. Very few. We used to have a National Bank of Fiji, which we of course lost after 1987. They used to give crop liens. You would know that. They had crop liens. I know this because when I worked for Colonial, those crop liens had passed on to Colonial. So that's why we don't have large-scale mechanization in the agriculture sector. Because, you see, to have large tractors, mechanization, you need long-term leases so people access to funds. Then people would invest. So if you go to ANZ and Westpac, other banks, they're lending to the tourism sector in the Itoke land or government land for 99-year leases. Other banks are lending because it's a 99-year lease. The law we changed some years back now, that now agricultural land can also be given out for 99 years. So in that way you can get more investment, to have mechanization. As George also highlighted, that only we recently started this cane harvesting, the harvesters that come along. Now, The reason why we said, and I forgot to mention this actually, the reason why we said about the cooperatives is because most cane farmers on their own can't afford a harvester. Right? On their own they can't. So you form a cooperative, we give you 1/3, the other 2/3 you get a loan from FDB, and then you can charge for it too. People paid you at $17 something, and now it's gone up to $21, $23. $20.60 because of the fuel increase. So, and he was saying, for example, he wants it on his, he wants a grant on his own for his business, for himself. You see, it's not about people being treated unequally. In the same way, the 360 was not given to him because he's got money. 360 was given to people who did not have a job. In the same way, you can afford to buy a cane harvester on your own. The individual farmer can't afford to buy the cane harvester on their own because they're not that wealthy. So it's not about equality, it's about making sure we have targeted assistance. Right? So we don't say to people who sell vegetables in the market, they don't pay market fees. We don't say to the people who sell vegetables in the supermarket, we'll give you subsidy. No, they can afford it. In the same way we give social welfare payment to people who cannot afford it. People who can afford it, they don't get social welfare. So that's been the issue. You know, sugarcane production in Vanuatu went down by 50% in the 90s and early 2000s. Why? Because the leases weren't renewed. So most of the Lambasa people are now living between Suvarnasori corridor as taxi drivers or whatever. They live as squatters. Some of them have their homes near a sewage pipe. No land. Huge pressure. There's lots of land available. It would have been a different story if the leases weren't renewed and they'd used the land. But they're not using the land. It's lying idle. So they're not getting any money from lease payments. The land is lying idle. The shops have closed down. The school numbers have dropped. The buses hardly run. So it diminishes the economic capacity of the place. So, and you're absolutely right. People need to link that to the economy. So, as far as the Itoke land is concerned, it's protected in the constitution. You can't convert it to any other land. No way. Right? You got it all tied in. So, you can make money from leasing the land if you don't want to use it yourself. You know it's protected. In the same way, we've got a Itoke land development fund, where if landowners come and say, look, we want to subdivide that land over there, we want to build 25 lots. Government will come and subdivide it for them. We'll build the road, we put the footpath, we connect to the water, we connect to electricity. Because we want you to not only be what we call asset rich, but also cash rich. So when you subdivide the land, you get the money, you don't pay anything for development costs. Somebody over here may want to lease the land to build their house. When somebody leases the land to build their house, they get a 99-year lease, they can go to the bank and say, hey, I got a 99-year lease. I want to borrow some money and build a nice concrete home. And when they build homes, it creates economic activity. Because when people build homes, you're going to hire somebody to dig the foundation, lay the brick, put the steel, do the plastering, do the painting, put the roof. Creates economic activity, creates jobs. More people get money in their pockets. So that's the objective of it. And I'm glad what you've said, actually. Thank you for that. A gentleman there and one over there.
Benaka Arnan Rasa. It's just a question or submission to the Ministry of Education in regards to the free bus fare for the students. My name is Josefa Manikoi, Turanikoro Funtonglo Village, and the president of our student association as well. There are a few issues that we have come across in regards to the bus fare, for the free bus fare, and sometimes parents are being blamed, or even the school administration as well. There are some students who are living with their the grandparents, and who are not well familiar with the system of topping up with the card. So just one submission, if the same initiative could be changed to something like a bus card, not topping up for fun, if it can be used as a boarding pass for the students. if we look at the side of topping up, some who cannot liaise with teachers, there are students who are shy, and bringing the card to the school or to the Vodafone for top up. So I believe you would understand what I'm thinking, like using the same card for a free just step as a boarding card for them to board without fund in it, because without fund, no entry, no boarding. So on the idea of just making it as a boarding pass for the students. And the second one, as a Turaniko, one request, if our allowance could be raised. We've been paying $300 quarterly, 3 months. Looking at the work that we have been carrying out, the Turaniko and the maternity care as well, we need more money for the load that we are doing, especially for typing, printing. Not all Turaniko have laptops, and not all organizations would accept handwritten, and not all Turaniko are good handwriters to write letters. So we have to be more professional in our submitting of letterheads, printing, photocopy, and also with communication for topping up of our phone, recharging, and also other communication in emailing as well to the ministry.
Can I ask a question? The first one. We've had submissions to Turang Nikoros and also advisory councils. We in fact had a submission the other day where JPs want to be paid an allowance too now.
Okay.
But the first one, when you're saying use it as a boarding pass, in other words, once you get the card, you can use it all the time without topping it up. The reason why we actually do the topping up is because we pay the bus companies. So every time the child gets up, gets on the bus, it gets deducted. So we know exactly how much to pay Vodafone. We pay about $24 million a year to bus companies in free bus fare. You know what we call free bus fare scheme. So if you just give a card like that, we've also had in the past where the parents are using the student's card too. So we had to put some restriction, like only certain hours they can use it. There's a lot of abuse going on. What they used to do was go with the child and then take the card from the child, and during the day the parents would be using it. And that's not the purpose of that card. So if we give a card to you and you can use it anytime you like, it only has to be for the child. Sometimes also we found a lot of, before there was no time limit. We're finding that high school students were coming at night at 8 o'clock, mucking around town, going to the nightclub and then using the same card. But the purpose of that card was to just to go to it from school. I know what you're saying because it is a hassle, but we have to come up with a scheme that can avoid those issues. And we do want to make it easier because it is, we do get complaints about people saying this type of things. Thank you. Gentleman there in the yellow t-shirt, please.
Good afternoon, sir. On the issue with the bus fare, the question is, my daughter travels from Navalau to Penang. One way it's $1.20, but return is $1. It's an increase of 10 cents. What is the 10 cents for? It's the same destination, to and fro, but the increase. That's the question I want to raise. The second one is for the leases, agricultural lease. You mentioned that it is for 30 years.
It was agricultural lease used to be only maximum 30 years.
Yeah.
Now the laws changed. You can get agricultural lease up to 99 years. There's nothing stopping you. But if it's Itoke land, the landowners have to agree.
Okay.
They have to agree for how long you want to give it to. And of course, with the state land, they also have to, give it to you for 99 years.
Why I was asking that, because the government should have the figures that which people, which farmers about to their lease about to expire. and they got the potentials to do. They are capable of doing the farming areas anywhere else. Why the government can't get these figures for those who are not, their leases are not renewed, and have some other lands ready when these people who are not renewed from here use that potential somewhere else. The government should be ready to help them, because these are the people. It's not like putting them down there in Suva in the squatters area where they are not useful to the country. So that was my question, if the government can help these farmers who are expired the lease to put somewhere else for them just to come out from there and use those potentials somewhere else.
But we can't do that. It's Itoke land. The landowners have to consent.
I mean,
So
the government has got so many lands.
Not so much. We only have 4.5% of all the land in Fiji.
I mean, it's not all utilized.
No, but we have only 4.5%. There may be, somewhere in the interior of somewhere, the guy from Lambasa may not want to come to Ra, for example.
I mean, you have to give them the opportunity to see
Yes.
if they can do that.
Yes.
Well.
Yeah, we
because
weren't,
they've got
we
the
weren't there
potential.
then. We weren't there then. We weren't there in 1999. We weren't there in early 2000. What I'm saying is, a result of those leases not expiring then, they came. Under this government, we have what we call CBUL. It was started off as a Committee for Better Utilization of Land, where when leases are expiring, we go to the landowners and we say to them, look, government will pay 4% more on behalf of the farmers. We're doing that. So instead of getting 6% UCV, you're now getting 10% UCV. So in fact, a lot of landowners have renewed the leases as a result of that. Some, of course, choose not to. They don't want to. The other point is this, as George would know this also, 43% of all the cane farmers in Fiji cut less than 100 tons. 43%. Now, most of them don't want to do sugarcane farming. The only reason why they're doing sugarcane farming is that if they stop planting sugarcane and they start planting yongona or pineapple or whatever, they lose their lease. Because the lease is for sugarcane farming. So in the revised budget, we announced in March, April, that should any sitting tenant who's a cane farmer not want to do cane farming, we will help you get you a different lease. Because you see, the average age of a cane farmer is 59 years old. 59, average age of cane farmer. So a lot of them, in fact, we opened up, we've got about 16 applications at the moment. Most of them have said, we just want residential lease. We just want the house, because if they don't do sugarcane farming, the lease gets cancelled, where will they go? So a lot of the farmers, because they're older, their sons and daughters are educated, they've gone. Right? Some may be staying there. So a lot of them say, can you convert our sugarcane lease to residential? We've got 5 acres, just give me 1 acre. Or just give me 2 acres, I'll do some vegetable farming, pineapple, at least I got my house. So for them, we'll be getting 99-year leases. So some of that is on Crown land, some of it is in Itoke land. So with the Itoke land, we have to go and talk to the landowners, negotiate on their behalf, and say, these people don't want to do sugarcane farming, they want to only do a residential lease, can you give it to them? We recognize that. Because when you think about it, those sugarcane farmers, if they're cutting less than 100 tons, they've got a guaranteed price of $85 a ton. If they're cutting only 50 tons, that means in a year, gross, they are making $4,250 gross. Take out the expenditure, they're getting about $1,500 to $2,000 a year. But the only reason they're doing that is so they can have a land. So, we have to understand the dynamics. I mean, today, many of you know, we've got so many cane harvesters, nobody wants to do cane cutting. In the Tavua Ra area, we're bringing prisoners from Ba. We're paying them money. We set up temporary correction services here to cut cane, because you see, the young people don't want to do that. It's a different approach.
Hello, sir. Good morning, sir. Thank you first for coming to our small district here. My concern here is on the taxi fare. It's on the taxi industries. Since last 11 years, we didn't have an increase in the taxi fare. It's a request over there. And also on the spare parts. Like, if we buy one spare part from Suva, like one spare part, like one headlight from Suva, the cost of that headlight in Suva is cheaper, and the same cost of the headlight in Lotoka is expensive. So I would like the government of today just to check with FCC if the price range should be same in every spare parts like that. And second is the rent on commercial buildings. If it could be freeze like the rent that has been freezed on private, the people who are doing the private land. Because I've been running a small taxi rental shop, and my problem there for 7 years is the rent. And this year I might be close my shop just for the rent issue. Because every time my owner is increasing the rent, since there is no freeze in commercial rent, and there is nothing changed in the building. So if there will be a stop in the commercial rent, freeze in the commercial rent as well. Thank you for. And at last, my conclusion: the day of this government, I do salute the government of the day. No government have done anything like this government today. My son is in USP just because of this government, and I do salute this government, and I would like this government to be in the country. Thank you, sir.
The taxi fare increase, I understand FCCC is looking at it at the moment. And I think last we checked, probably this week or next week, they're giving the new fare recommendation. But they have to do the assessment for the taxi fares. Oh, there you go. He knows, tomorrow. So it's coming out tomorrow. The other issue was about the spare parts. Spare parts is not a price control item. We reduced the duty on it. I think it's about 5%. It's about 5% on spare parts. So, it depends on the supplier. So the person who's selling in Lotoga may be cheaper in Suva is because he is importing it, it lands in Suva, maybe he's adding his cost. Those people, they do that. But it's not a price control item. But what we did was, we reduced the duty to make sure that, to ensure that prices do come down. So people need to pass that reduction in the cost to you. Regarding commercial properties, that's an arrangement between you and your landlord. So if you sign a tenancy agreement, if your tenancy agreement says a 3-year tenancy, they have to stick to the terms and conditions of the tenancy agreement. They can't change it whenever they like. No rent freeze does not mean that they can change it like tomorrow or whatever. If whatever is in the agreement, you have to agree to that first. Yeah, well, you shouldn't do that. You should try a long-term lease. If he's going to do that, then he may lose you as a tenant, right? So who's going to come and be his tenant? Will somebody be able to pay that much? You know what I mean? So people have to look at it from a commercial perspective too. Okay. Oh, one there, please.
Mr. Khaiyum, thank you for that smile. Son, the only thing we would like to, it's not a submission. In fact, we just want to say, big minakapalim. Appreciation, both and about, for the works you are doing. You are reaching out to the people. Of all those past governments, there was no government that was like this present government, which is doing now, to reach out for the people. I mean, can I go to that English old word? There are so many undertakers. And then come the caretakers. But one thing I'd like to appreciate, the mind, the leadership, and the risk. I mean, it's not a risk without direction. It's not a risk without navigation. You are doing it on purpose and assignment to benefit everybody. So thank you so much for that. Prime Minister? Yes, we don't have any other words. There are people, they just want to thank you. Since you are a son from Nandronga, we just want to say big benakabalibu to you. And please pass the word to the Prime Minister from the elders in Ra. Benakabalibu, Prime Minister.
Naga, that might be a good note to finish this this morning's proceedings. I got somebody else, please.
Honorable Prime Minister, I'm not very much in English. Sir, can I wear this shirt, this hat? This is a lot of people don't want this shirt. So I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful to you to come and visit Rakiraki today. And only one thing I need to tell you, sir. I urge the government of the day, if you could please, just to open the buyback scheme of our land. Buyback scheme of our land. You've been hold this buyback scheme of our land because we have so many cases here in Rakiraki about this case, land's case. I urge you, if you could please open the buyback scheme so we can do something with our land back in the days, colonial days. That's all thing I want to ask you, Mr. Khaiyum. If you agreed with it, then I'm thankful today. Thank you.
Oh, one over here. Last one, please. Okay, there's one there, then last one there.
Thank you, sir.
The Ra style last.
Sir, just one humble request. Like some of the roads with it, our taxi drivers, they go, we have to refuse jobs because half of the road has been made and half of the road is not been developed properly. It's not been graded well. So it's my request, if it is possible, because people are staying there. When they buy the goods, we have to stop half of the way and they have to carry their luggage a kilometer or half a kilometer inside from there. It's a request. If government can do something on those roads, it will be much appreciated on that side.
The back, just highlight those roads. Which are those roads?
Thank you, sir.
Please, you can give the names at the back, please. Thank you. Gentleman there with the crutches, thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Minister. Just want to explain about myself. I'm requesting about the person with disability, about the allowance, the what's called bus fare, green card. When it is already passed in the Parliament in 2017, when we catch the taxi or public transport bus, there should be 20% off. But this taxi, the bus fare from RA, they are not doing that. Please, can you look at that matter for the people with disability?
In fact, that scheme had stopped for a while because we started giving the cards. As you know, before, when the bus fare had increased back in 2009 and the taxi fare had increased then, we had an arrangement with them to say that you get to keep, the fuel price had gone up. We said you get to keep the VAT. They don't give us VAT. You get to keep the VAT, but you allow these people to travel on the bus, on the taxis. But then, when we started giving out cards, they said we're not going to have this anymore. So that's why we give the cards to people on the buses. With the taxis, again, that's a different story altogether. But I mean, I know what you're saying in respect of the cost of things going up for those people on with the disability allowance, on disability allowance. But I've got the people at the back, they're making note of it because we've had those kind of similar submissions too. Because the bus companies now and the taxi companies, they want their fare to increase again.
Some of us cannot travel by bus and only can travel by taxi. So that's what I'm telling, I'm asking if you can look into that matter, please.
Okay. I don't promise, but I will look into it.
Yeah. And also our foodman can voucher for food can increase. Also.
Sorry, say that again, I can hear you.
Food voucher money can increase for $50 to $100.
बार हमको ब्लेट करो.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming this morning. I appreciate your presence here and thank you for taking out your time. This is the last consultation we're having. Unfortunately, we won't be able to go physically to Tavua and Ba and Singatoka. But, we've done, of course, all the other parts because we're coming very close to the budget time. The budget is going to be delivered on the 15th of July, which is next Friday, 7:30, 8 o'clock, around about that time. And then by law, once the budget is announced, we have 1 week's break in Parliament. Then the following week, we debate the budget. And then at the end of that week, God willing, the budget gets passed. Now, when we announce the budget on the 15th of July, whatever we announce does not come into effect until the beginning of the financial year, which is the 1st of August. However, if we make any changes to duties or tariff, that comes into effect from midnight or the night that it's announced. So, for example, if we say the excise duty on cigarettes will go up, it comes into effect from midnight on the 15th, past 15th, the next day. But any other changes. So, for example, if we say the gentleman there say to increase allowances, say for Turang and Ikoros, if we say it's going to be increased, I'm not saying it will be. If we say it will be increased, they'll come into effect from the 1st of August, after the budget is passed. Right, everything does. So our financial year is always from the 1st of August to the 31st of July the following year. So now I assume a lot of you have Wailesi. You can tune into Wailesi and you can watch the debate or the presentation of the budget live. And then of course you can watch the debate live too. And thank you very much for coming. Thank you.